going on, everybody? I want to see if I can get Streamer.bot working on YouTube. So I'm only streaming on YouTube right now, but I want to give this a shot and see if we can get some of the chat commands working properly. So let's see what we can get into here. All right, let's see if we can get some of these going here. So I want to take a look at the log files. Logs. And see what we can see as far as YouTube activity. I'm going to check if I can get into my YouTube stream, but as someone else. Let's see. Will it let me switch my profile? It says the live stream ended. Am I live or not? It says I'm live. It's supposed to be live. Accounts, there we go. Let's come in as this account. And then get over to here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so if I say hi over here, there you go. Okay, so it shows up as a different account, but we're going to see. I need to turn the volume down because I don't want to hear myself a second time. Go over to viewers. Okay, so I'm showing up here as a viewer. This is my other account. So that much works. So now if I come in here and do exclamation point resume, what do we see in our logs? All we see is the presence timer updating. So it's updating the presence timer in Streamer.bot every minute, but it's not actually processing that something happened in chat. So let's go back over to platforms, YouTube. Oh, interesting. It didn't update the stream title and stuff. Let's see if we can get that saved. Okay, so for the static chat response, do we have anything for... Okay, so how do I know which platform the chat message came in on? If I want a Streamer.bot command, like a regex, and for YouTube and Twitch, etc. How do I know which platform a message came from so I can respond on the correct platform? All right, let's see what my reg system comes up with here. Because in the code right now, I mean, it kind of looks like if I send... Hey, Akasi. Good to see you in chat. I'm trying to get Streamer.bot working. I tried to get it working on my Twitch stream earlier, and the Twitch chat commands work, but if I type something over on YouTube, it does not work. So I'm trying to debug some stuff right now, so I'm only streaming on YouTube. So apologies if I'm not really paying attention to the camera. I'm looking at like 5 different screens over here, as well as like trying to chat on my phone so that the messages aren't just coming in as me. But hope you're doing well. Welcome in. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to get Streamer.bot to actually talk to YouTube. It sounds like there might be a bug in Streamer.bot where it doesn't always detect when you go live on YouTube, and that there's a potential thing there where you have to schedule the stream in advance on YouTube and then Streamer.bot will recognize it. So I'm jumping through a couple of hoops right now trying to figure that out. But good to see you in chat. So thanks for saying hello. Hope you're doing well. I'm Ian. I typically do career prep and interview prep and resume reviews and things like that on the stream on Sundays. And then usually on Thursdays, I'm doing live coding like you see me doing right now. But this was bugging me enough that I wanted to hop back on a second stream today and see if I could get this working. So bear with me as I'm debugging a bunch of stuff here. All right, so no, this isn't about the shoutouts. Table that sends back a static response to subscribe to my newsletters. Going back and forth with my AI reg system right now, trying to get some answers out of it. So we have, it keeps thinking I'm talking about some other command. I have to keep correcting it. Okay, so newsletters, command triggers. Yep, I know. C# reads user type. Looks up the response string. Okay. And then I know that. Okay, so I can look at the platform of where the message is coming in based on the user type to tell me what the platform is. Okay. So what it looks like here is I can determine the user type, which will tell me the platform. And based on the platform, if it's not set to anything, then we'll default to Twitch. And then we can do like a switch statement down here when we actually send the response back. And then this should help us out here. Okay, so let's see, if we're sending to YouTube, we just want the chat response. Same with Kick, although I'm not on Kick. I think I'll specifically call out, well, I mean, the default's going to be Twitch. So I think we'll leave that as is. But this one, we're going to put the emote in front of it. So actually, yeah, we'll just do this whole thing here. And then these need to be quoted strings. Actually, no, they don't need to be quoted strings. They can just be the variable. And then what I want to do here is I want to log cph log debug, where we log what the platform is, so I know where the response is going to. Okay, so we compile that. Okay, I missed a comma somewhere in line 34. Oh yeah, right there. So I don't need that quote. Cool. All right, that compiles okay. All right, cool. So if I save that, and then over here, if I do a resume command, basically want to watch my log to make sure that we're getting what we need out of that. So if I do the resume command, nothing happens. Also, nothing shows up in my log file. The log hasn't rotated over to midnight yet, so I should still be seeing it in this log file, but I'm not seeing anything new showing up in here as far as seeing that little message coming in telling me which platform I'm on. So I'm not seeing this debug statement here. So the only thing I can think of, well, I mean, I can still mimic this on Twitch. So if I go over to my Twitch chat, I just want to make sure it's still going to work over there. So yeah, it still works on Twitch. And if I do that on Twitch, okay, I see a got here command. But I also don't see that debug log of which platform we're on. That's curious. Let me skip down to here. So in the debug, or in the log, I see the debug statement for got here, but I don't see it coming down to here and showing me the platform that I'm on. I see all the action queues and the dispatchers, but I don't see anything about the platform. So this message did not print in the log file, and it should have. But on Twitch, it did send. Oh, no, on Twitch, it did not send the response back. That's interesting. So are we exiting before that happens? Let's see what we have here. CPH log debug. No responses to send back. Wondering if this stuff didn't load in memory properly. I thought I went in and manually ran them, but maybe I missed one. Okay, so that's if we don't have a response. This is where we're deserializing things, although we don't really need to deserialize a dictionary in Streamer.bot anymore, but I still have it in here anyway. This is basically just checking if the JSON data had anything back. So I'll just say no JSON responses. Spell things properly here. Okay, that compiles okay. Save and compile. Let's go back over here and make sure that the static response is actually loaded in properly. So global variables, non-persisted. Static responses, yeah, they should be there. Okay, so if I do a resume here, all right, my log file rotated, so that's good news. I only have a few dozen lines of text to look through instead of hundreds. But I still do not see any content when I send that message on YouTube. I'm going to try it from my other account. We also do not get anything there either. Does it not think I'm broadcasting? We have that saved. Go over to viewers. I'm showing up as a viewer, both my main account and my second account. So both of those are showing up fine. So why, if I do LinkedIn, Twitch, okay, so we get the response on Twitch. So the static response works on Twitch, but it does not work on YouTube. So yeah, so I'm seeing the debug statement in the log for Twitch. Let me just bring this over to the other screen here so anybody else wants to see it. So we have the got here and we see the platform Twitch, but when we send things on YouTube, we do not get that message. We're just not seeing it at all. So we know that when we come over here to the static chat response, execute code, we know that this trigger works for regex if we're on Twitch, but it does not work if we're on YouTube. So that makes me think that the system doesn't really think I'm broadcasting on YouTube. Why not? If it's not seeing the message at all. Let's add a new command in here just for the giggles. And we're just going to say YouTube chat. We're always going to run this. We're going to set a trigger in here for YouTube chat. And we'll just say any message at all. So any message from YouTube, we should do something. So in here, we will add favorite C#. And again, I'm just going to log debug. Got a message from YouTube. Compiles, saves. Okay, so what we should see down here is if we type any message at all, we don't see anything happening here. So Streamer.bot does not think I am live on YouTube, apparently. All right, so if I log out, try to log back in, that worked. I don't want to forget the account. It's also my bot account, which should be fine. But just for the giggles, log out, forget that account, sign in with Google. It's going to ask me for a different account, so I'm going to log in with a different account for that. Continue. Token for YouTube has an incorrect number of scopes. Try authorizing again for the bot. So try sign in again. Found the bot account. Continue. Says I've been successfully logged into YouTube. You can now close this web page. But up here, I have not, it did not log me in. So try this one more time. Nope, that's not doing anything at all. So forget the account. You gonna forget the account? Come on, forget. Okay, sign in. I'll pick my regular account again. I'm gonna pick my second account, which I'm already logged in on YouTube with. It's going to get the name and profile. It's going to get the email address. That's fine. Make sure I trust Streamer.bot to manage my YouTube account. Yep, continue. Still coming up saying the token for YouTube has an incorrect number of scopes. Try authorizing again. All right, so I will do all those things again. All right, so done. It says I'm logged in successfully. It says I'm logged in here, okay. Okay, let's try one other thing. In that action, I'm going to add YouTube, send message to channel. We'll broadcast. We'll just say hello from the bot account. Okay, and then I can come in here and I can say test this trigger. So pretend that this actually happened. And that did print twice, 3 times. Oh, now it's stuck in an infinite loop. All right, so disable that. Nope. Stop running. Okay, there it goes. Okay, so now that worked. Okay, so I'm going to disable this because I don't want this to run all the time. Basically, when the bot responded, it's like, oh, I got a new message. And then the bot responded, oh, I got a new message. Clearly not what we want to have happen. So let's come back in here now. And I'm wondering if we do resume. Nope, still not doing the static response. Let's go take a look at the log. See if anything happened in the log. In the log. Queuing YouTube chat, which was the new one that we did until I shut it off. Queuing YouTube chat until I shut it off. Yeah. So nothing has happened. Like it's updating the presence of the viewers, but it's not seeing any incoming chat messages. If I come over here and say, hi everyone, that's sent to YouTube and to Twitch. So if I do a resume command here, I see the chat happening on YouTube, but it's the streamer bot is not responding to that via YouTube. So streamer bot does not want to work with incoming chat messages. Those are just events. It's just Twitch. Interesting. Okay. Well, let's go see if we can figure out why. So Streamer.bot 104. YouTube chat messages are ignored by Streamer.bot. Commonly ignored because the bot is not actively latching onto a live YouTube broadcast or your YouTube integration needs to be re-authenticated. Okay. Let's try this then. Platforms, YouTube accounts. So platforms, YouTube. There's no accounts section here. We just have settings. Automatically connect to YouTube broadcaster account when Streamer.bot starts up, which is on. Automatically connect to the bot account when we start. Yep, that's fine. Not worried about first words. Present viewers, this is working. Auto monitored live broadcast. When a live broadcast is detected, automatically start monitoring. It's on. So we'll try turning it off, turn it back on again. And we will do a intros. Nope. Newsletters. Nope. Resume. Nada. So let's go take a look at the log. Okay, so let's take a look at what happened in here. So this is all Twitch stuff. These are all Twitch things. It didn't detect anything from YouTube. All right, so that turning this off and turning this back on again didn't do anything. So what else do we try? Verify your broadcast is being monitored, which we just did. Right-click your broadcaster and bot accounts. Select the remove or log out. So we already did this. So this is a little bit out of date because there's no like accounts section here. Oh, it's just under the account section here. I got it. Okay. So yeah, we already expanded these. All right, I'll try and log out. I'll try and forget this one too. Sign in again, pick my account, pick my main account, continue. Refuse to connect. Interesting. Set it connected, but I got a weird auth error here that maybe it didn't. Try to log out, log back in. Okay, so logged in. Let's try that. Let's try resume. Okay, so we see stuff happening in here. So YouTube service disconnected from YouTube, monitoring finished, stopped monitoring, connected to YouTube, monitoring started, starting to monitor live chat events, disconnected, monitoring finished, connected, starting to monitor live chat events for this broadcast, assuming this is the right broadcast. But I mean, it's the only broadcast I have. So, I mean, presumably it's going to pay attention to this stuff. But if I say, what's another one that I have? I'm trying to think of my other static responses. Let me go look them up real quick. Where's that browser window? Okay, static responses. resume, review, email, any of those should work. Okay. So exclamation point email. And we got nothing in here, nothing updated. If I do review, also got nothing. So let's move this back out of the way. Let's go over to our actions. Let's re-enable this. We will enable this. We will enable this. Now if I type hi, we should see hello and kind of end up in that infinite loop again. Yep, hello from the bot, which is our infinite loop. Okay. So that worked. That monitored chat just fine. But that was specifically watching YouTube chat. So why is it, back over here, disable. So why is it that on our static chat response, where we're just doing a core command where like anything coming in with a regular expression should go execute that code? And that's not happening for YouTube. I'm going to add a YouTube chat thing here for send a message to channel. I'll just say, thanks for the command. I'm curious if I run that first and I try a command like email, it does not respond. So this command is not being triggered when somebody chats on YouTube. Let's try one other thing here. This is a known string that will cause an audio playback on Twitch. And it's also ignoring that one. So that tells me that even some of these things are not working. Okay, so it looks like the core commands are not working from YouTube. All right, so that helps narrow this down at least a little bit. It's not an API limit. Command source. If commands are working for Twitch but ignoring YouTube, you may have not checked the correct platform source for the command. Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Commands. Static chat response. I mean, how do I set that? There's nothing in here for, sources. Are you kidding me? All this time, all I had to do was come in here and say it's also for YouTube and any other platform I happen to go on. I'm not on Trovo and I haven't been on Kick in a long time. Okay. So I got to do that for every command? That's a pain in the butt. Why not automatically do that for any platform that's recognizing your broadcasting? Okay. Well, that'll fix that problem then. Okay, so let me move that out of the way. So now if I do resume. All right, so we got the thanks for the command, but it didn't actually respond with the message. But we're close. We know it's at least calling that action now. So what I have to do for each of these things then is we're going to have to figure out how many of these I need to set to both Twitch and YouTube. Like I would love for YouTube and Twitch users to play the online games that I build. So we'll definitely set that one. I'm just going to set all these just for the heck of it. I don't do any shared streams. I'm not going to deal with whispers. Okay. And then Game won't apply. Boo. Yeah, that'll apply. Sources. Let's pick all these. And then lurk command, definitely want the lurk and unlurk. Those are just fun little tabletop kinds of commands for rolling a stealth check for if you need to lurk. I didn't realize I was going to have to come in here and do this for every single one, but that's okay. The shout out. I'm not going to have moderators. The shout outs will only apply to Twitch. Static check response we already got. Dad joke. Definitely want that one on YouTube. 100% want that over there. Cool. So now if we do a dad joke command. Yeah, we get a dad joke. All right. Cool. So that worked. And then Scream audio, that's only going to be Twitch. That's going to be Twitch. The join command for a game. That one is going to be all platforms. And then guessing a number. That is also going to be your cross-platform. Okay. And then high ground, that's Twitch only. This is me only. Points, I don't think I've actually built in anything yet, have I? No, I haven't actually built that one yet. Buying and sell stock, that's just Twitch only right now. Okay, so I think I got everything I need. So we had the boo command, but that was also I think the boo command should work either way. If I do a boo command over here. No, it does not. Interesting. So that worked on Twitch. For playing the sound effect. If we do a cheer command, that one did not work. Okay, so some of them work and some of them don't. And I think that's because the how's the emote audio though? Chat commands to play audio. Oh, that's only looking for Twitch chat on those. And then in here, we were looking for those commands specifically. Okay, so I just need to look at YouTube chat for these as well. So YouTube chat message. The downside is it's parsing every message coming in through this one to see whether any message matches that command. It would be a little more efficient to set that up as an actual Streamer.bot command up here. But at least now we can do a cheer. And we hear the sound effect. All right. Cool. All right. So that works. So now what we want to do is we want to come back and look at the static chat response. We're going to remove this sub action because we just want to deal with the response here. Cool. So if the command comes in on YouTube, it will respond on YouTube. So on YouTube, if I do an email command, we only get that there. I'm going to try one from my phone on the second account, and we'll do intros. Oh, it didn't actually respond with the static command. Okay, so let's go look at our log and see what happened. So I would have expected that to work. did not work. Why not? All right, let's compile. Compile's okay. I saw get here show up in the log. But not what came after that. So let's just try another email. Yeah, in the log, I don't see anything new showing up that we ran that command. It worked a minute ago. Didn't it? No, it didn't. Okay, so the cheer command worked. Compile, save and compile. Okay, let's go back and look at that command. Wish there was a way that we could like edit the command from here instead of having to go back over here and try to find the thing again. So, it's going to ignore the bot account. So the bot account can't run commands, which is fine. Actually, I'm going to turn that off so the bot can do these. It is set to watch YouTube. So why doesn't that work? So let's come back over to the action. See what's happening in here, because I was seeing the got here message in the log. I'm going to pull up the log file. I was seeing the got here platform YouTube. But then it wasn't actually printing any output. So what happens after that? Is there a case where we could exit? So we're returning false here, but we would have logged no response to send back. Here we wouldn't have had JSON response to send back. Here we're checking if we actually had a command to respond with, and we know that exclamation point email does, because I can run that over on Twitch and I get a response back. When I run that on YouTube, though, we do not see it. So in here, we're saying we got here. That was the Twitch one running. And these are just all the parsing things that we need to figure out. Like, do we give the user points and whatever? Okay, so that... We were printing the platform that it was YouTube. But here, sending that chat response back, is it because we're trying to send it back as the bot that it failed? Let's try sending the response back as me and see if that has any impact. Got here, platform YouTube, and nothing after that. It just stops. So it's getting to here, it's hitting the break, it's exiting our switch and then ending up down here. Send YouTube message doesn't work, at least from the code. Let me just double check if there's a, well, no, if there was a parameter missing, it wouldn't compile. Send YouTube message. So it's the message, whether it's coming from the bot, whether it falls back to the streamer, and then if there's a specific YouTube broadcast ID. So, but we're getting the message in, so that tells me that the broadcast ID is okay. So why won't it send the response here? Because the platform is set to YouTube, unless this somehow doesn't match. But if it didn't match, it would default and send the response over to Twitch. We don't see that happening, which means it is getting in here, which means this API call is not working. Okay, so let's do cph log debug starting YouTube reply. All right, finished YouTube reply. Compiles, saves. All right. So down here, come back and we do another email command. Nothing new showed up in the log at all. That is extra strange. Okay, there it goes. Okay, so yeah, starting and finishing YouTube reply, but it didn't actually send the message to YouTube. Okay, so at least we're finding ways of narrowing down where the problem is. The API call for send YouTube message doesn't seem to send a reply. It doesn't save any error messages in the Streamer.bot log at all. Okay, so the API call fails silently without creating an error because the function is executing successfully code-wise, but it has no active target destination. YouTube has no permanent chat server like Twitch because Twitch used to use IRC. It might be using something else now. Chat room only exists for a specific active broadcast ID. So we are seeing send YouTube message to latest monitored. Okay. So there's an API call for like whatever the last monitored YouTube channel is, send it there. We'll try that one, I guess. And we'll do, actually, I'll leave that empty just so it'll always come from me if this actually works. Okay, let's try this again. Email. Because we know it's monitoring the broadcast. Still didn't do anything though. Look at the log. It got all these things. Updated the presence of everything. Oh, it's actually down here. Got here. Yep. Started and finished, but no error or anything like that. So how do I get the broadcast ID? Is there a way that we can get the YouTube broadcast ID? Check the use bot account fallback flag. If you're bypassing parameters. Oh, use bot is defaulting to true. So let's explicitly set that to false. Compile, save and compile. Okay. Let's pull this up a little bit here and see if we can all see it. Hey, it worked. It worked that time. Hooray. All right. And it came from me, not the bot. So that's all good. Okay. So that much worked. Now I'm curious which of these other commands is it going to ignore from the bot? Because there is a problem I was having earlier on my other stream with shoutouts on Twitch, where the shoutout command was being ignored because it was ignoring the bot account. All right, so that'll fix that. Okay, so that should all work okay now. So as long as those things are loaded in memory, then we have everything we need. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, wow, the latency on that is like almost 3 seconds. Cool, that works. Okay, so we got those commands working on YouTube. They will also work on Twitch. I've also got like a Streamer.bot chat window where anything I type will go to all platforms. So I can do like Meter Pro. This is my mock interview platform. I don't own it, but I'm on the platform doing a bunch of stuff. So here's how you can connect with me on Meter Pro. All right, so that works. Cool. All right. No, wait, it did not print to YouTube. That one didn't print to YouTube. Wait, or did it? It printed on my second account. I don't see the response where I'm viewing my own broadcast. Weird. Okay, I also have a message from YouTube saying I'm not sending keyframes often enough, which can cause buffering. The current keyframe frequency is 8.3 seconds. Note that ingestion errors can cause incorrect something, something, something. Okay, so I need to fix OBS. But so far, so good. So now the question is, if I start a higher-lower game, I'm going to have to print messages to Twitch and YouTube for the game. So I'm going to need to abstract where we send things. Okay. So that's the game setup. Awarding points. I don't think there was anything in here where we're printing a message. Nope. Game engine will. Guessing a number. That's basically coming in from a command. But we do potentially send a message back. So this is where we need to know, again, did this message come from YouTube or did it come from Twitch? So let me go grab that code again from static chat response. And I'm going to have to figure out how to abstract this into something that I can reuse or copy quickly between this and the platform stuff. And just make like an abstracted, like send a chat message or something like that. We'll have to figure that out. Okay, so compile, save and compile. All right, so for guessing a number, we need to make a method in here. So we'll call it public void send chat message. Of our message, whether to use the bot. So we'll have a string of message, we'll have a Boolean for bot. I think that's all we'll need. Okay, so we were going to try and get an argument for the user type, and then based on that, which platform to send the response back to. So we have our message here. So we can take this debug logging out because we know that's going to work now. And instead of this, it's going to be message. And I'll take that out of there. Actually, yeah, we don't need that parameterized at all. Okay, so now that should allow YouTube and Twitch users to play the game together, but I need to change here where we were sending the message. This needs to change. And this is just going to be, what did I call it? Send a chat? Send chat message. Send chat message. Okay, send chat message. Number was out of range. I'm going to default this to true. But for YouTube, we're going to explicitly set it to false. But these ones, we will set this as from bot. And we will do from bot. And that one will already default to true. Okay, so now I should be able to just copy this. I want to figure out a way to write this in a way that it will be available to all of my other methods. I think there's a way to define like a global function within Streamer.bot that any of your other code can call. But we'll figure that out a little later. Okay, so that compiles okay. So cph send message. So cph.send message. Okay, those are the only two places, and this one I can take out. Okay. So that code is good. Excuse me. All right, so let's add the code in here because I think we send a message back here. This is going to get a little stickier because this one is actually using a message ID from Twitch. I don't know that we'll have a message ID from YouTube. So I'm going to have to pass this in as another parameter, I think. We will do a string message ID, and then whether it's coming from the bot. And then here, we will just copy this in here. Comment that one out. And then this will be our message. And then these are just going to be send chat message. Send chat message. Cool. All right. And that compiles. Let's copy this again. And then the bigger one is going to be the actual game logic because there's a lot of stuff that gets printed in that. So basically for everything we print in the game, we also need it to print over to YouTube as well as Twitch. And there's going to be a lot of print statements in here. So the game engine is going to be pretty involved. Now, whether I do it as a Twitch reply message, I think we'll be okay on that. Now, in this case, when we send the chat message from a game logic point of view, I want to send it to all channels, not just where an incoming message came from. So in this case, we just want to send it to all platforms. My worry, though, is that if I'm not on Kick, is it going to throw an error and not print to Twitch? So this will be YouTube. This will be Kick, which I'm just going to comment out for now. And then I'm going to have to double check whether I'm actually doing a message ID. I don't think I am in here. I think anything being sent from the main game logic is not being sent as a message reply. Yeah. So I only need this one. I'm going to leave that one in, but I'm going to comment it out. So this should broadcast then to YouTube and Twitch whenever we call send chat message. So now if I come in here and highlight this and do all the things and paste, in theory, oh, what did I miss? Oh, I don't have the message ID anymore. So I won't need that one. All right, compiles. Sweet. Let's try a game. So we will do a game of high-low. I'm going to do a join command here. I'm going to do a join command over here. Game of higher lower has begun. Oh no. Retro. I am spamming my YouTube channel and nothing printed on Twitch. So let's come over here and we will, I can't bulk disable these. That's annoying. Disable. What happened? Disable. Why is that repeating over and over and over? Non-stop. Watch me get banned for spamming my own account. Yeah, what's going on with YouTube? Nothing new is printed, so it was just, it queued up a ton of these things for some reason. So it's looking at every chat message that's coming in, sees it's a message from me. Still printing. Nothing new is happening in the log, though. So I think they will settle eventually. But what the heck? Something got stuck in like a weird recursive loop. Where did that start? So this is just the presence of everything. Getting viewers for the channel. That's just my Twitch channel, I think. Queuing things, handling a queue. Let me try one other thing. If I go over to this queue and I disable pause all queues. Yeah, something is queuing up a ton of stuff here. So where, okay, pending actions, check commands to play audio. So it's seeing all these messages coming in on YouTube, and then it's processing to see whether or not it needs to play audio for it. But I'm not sure why. How do I delete these out of the queue? It's interesting that I don't have a way to clear the queue. Pause. So it's paused. Clear. Nope. Still thinks there's things to do. All right, so let's go over the action here. And I will disable this one. Go back over to my queue. All right, so that stopped it. Still several hundred that are going to happen on YouTube, though. So hopefully YouTube doesn't flag my own account as being a spammer. Apologies to anybody that's actually watching on YouTube that's got to put up with all the spam coming in here. It will clear out at some point. So, all right, let's come back over to our game engine and figure out what happened. So when I started the game, it started successfully. We can come in here, we can see non-persistent stuff. So, oh, yeah, I forgot to initialize the game stuff here. Okay, so let me enable this one. And let me test this one. So that's going to go load up a bunch of stuff in memory here to actually play the game. And then still thinks that the game engine should be running. And I still want to clear the queue. Nope. It doesn't want to let go of the fact that the game thinks it should still be running. Okay. Let me move this over here. All right, so at least none of the other things are going to spam out anymore. I just have to wait for the current messages to actually drain on YouTube. So again, apologies to anybody watching on YouTube that sees this a massive amount of chat spam coming through. Okay, so this one worked okay. So something in the game engine, it printed the messages over to YouTube, did not print them over to Twitch. Oh, because I'm an idiot. Oh my God. I did the search and replace, and it replaced this one as well. So every message coming in was recursively calling itself to send the message over and over. That's why it's spamming YouTube like crazy. All right, so this was just going to be send message. All right, save and compile. Hey, look at that. No, chat didn't stop. I thought it was going to stop. So I have recompiled this code, but it's still in the queue as a pending action. because of the recursion that was happening in here. I might have to kill Streamer.bot completely. Let me save this. Stop this. All right. That chat spam has finished. Let's get Streamer.bot running again. What a noob mistake. Too many, got a little too eager with the search and replace there. Okay, so if we come back and look at the queue's empty, and it is not paused, so we're good there. Check commands to play audio. So it wasn't a problem with this one after all. So we'll go back and re-enable that one. We need to go back and rerun these. So we'll test that trigger, and we'll run these just for the heck of it. I need to make a button on my Stream Deck to just go run all these things. Okay, so we were going to start a game. So global variables, okay, so our game setup is here. It's ready to go. So that much is good. Wow, it's 1 o'clock already. I gotta get to bed. Let's go in here and we will re-enable all of these. And then we will go start a new game. All right, so game HL. I'm going to queue up a couple of join commands here. So I'm going to join the command, or I'm going to join the game on Twitch. I'm going to join it on my bot account on YouTube, and I'm going to join it on my broadcaster account on YouTube as well, and see how chaotic we can get trying to play a game of higher or lower with 3 different accounts. So I will join the game over here. And it doesn't look like it actually started the game. Why not? It did not actually start the game. So what happened? I mean, it tried to run the command for the player to join the game. I mean, we're not crazy spamming anything. The timers don't matter for this game because it's event driven, not timer driven. So starting the game. Yeah, we didn't start the game. Why didn't it start the game? Let's try it again. So Action Dispatcher queued game engine. Oh, because I had this shut off. Because we were trying to figure out where all the spam was coming from. Okay. Now it'll work. All right, game HL. Let me get these join commands queued up again. Okay, join over here. Get ready to join over here. Okay. Let's start a game. There we go. All right, so we're going to join the game here. We're going to join the game here. We're going to join the game over here. So there should be 3 people playing the game. Nope. Why didn't it let YouTube people join? Okay, so YouTube people cannot join the game. I thought we had fixed that command for the join command. We don't want to ignore the bot account on this one. Sources set to YouTube. So why didn't that work? Nope. So the YouTube players did not get added to the game. Why is that? All right, so we need to go look at the code for the game engine. Or actually when the players try to join. This is where we're grabbing their username. Oh, and whether they were on Twitch. Well, that's only if we don't get the type. Otherwise, we set the platform to Twitch. Why did that matter? Oh, because the user in the group is based on the platform. So I can't put everybody in a single group. I can't group YouTube and people together. Hey, Aru, how's it going? Welcome to my channel over on YouTube. It's been a couple of years since I've done any kind of work on YouTube. But my name's Ian. I do mostly career prep, honestly, and interview preparation. But one of the other things that I do on my stream is live coding, where I'm building interactive controls and so on for other live streamers. And so I'm trying to get a chat game working where both Twitch and YouTube viewers can play the game at the same time. It's basically what I'm trying to work through right now. And so this is a software platform called Streamer.bot. And it basically allows you to hook up like incoming chat messages and so on. So for example, if I wanted to say like, hey, if you want a resume review, I've got this ! resume command, and then it sends back this static response to you saying, hey, if you want a free resume review, here's what you need to do. And so I've basically got a bunch of like static type of things done. I live streamed for several years, and then I stopped in 2024, took about 2 years off from streaming, and then got back into it last month in June. And so I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things, but I basically had to rebuild my whole streaming platform and all these Streamer.bot commands that I used to have. And in the process of that, I've had a few other streamers say like, hey, I'm interested in some chat games, just something that people can do in chat while I'm, doing Lego or whatever else they're doing on their live stream, video games or Lego, stuff like that. So yeah. So part of my stream, typically Sunday night, I would be doing interview preparation, career prep, resume reviews, like helping people get ready for interviews. If they have job interviews coming up for the week, I have a number of free newsletters. There's no ads, there's no promos, there's no paywall. I give away everything for free. So you can do !email in chat if you want to see those. And then Thursday night, I would typically be doing the live coding. but during the live stream earlier tonight, I'm like, why isn't YouTube like getting messages like back and forth with Streamer.bot? And it bugged me enough to where I'm like, I'm not going to go to bed till I figure it out. And then I figured it out. And then I'm like, well, now that that's working, I want to get this game working, but it's 1 a.m. and I got to work tomorrow. So I'll probably go to bed soon. But yeah, if you want to check out the free newsletters, send you the link for it here. There we go. So these are 100% free. There's no ads. There's no promo. Well, the only thing I promote in the newsletters is like come back to my live stream. And then I also do mock interviews with people. So if you want a free resume review, I'll do those on stream on Sundays. And then if you have just general interview types questions, or hey, I'm thinking about making a career change, things along those lines, always happy to help people out. Even on the Thursday live coding stream. But yeah, I basically got really annoyed at like, why isn't YouTube working for chat? Like, why isn't it picking up the chat commands from YouTube and like bringing them over to Streamer.bot and then doing the response back? And turns out there's some buggy API calls in Streamer.bot that I had to kind of work around. But yeah. And it looks like I'm going to be a little bit stuck on getting this game to work because I kind of presume that everybody is on Twitch, because that's how I initially built this game, was for a Twitch streamer. But now I'm at the point where I'm like, we could make it like a cross platform type of game. Like, I think it'd be kind of fun to get Twitch and YouTube going together on things. So we'll see. Can I do a good review? Sure. Yeah. So follow that link and it'll email it over to me. And if you want to do it right now, I'll do it right now for you. If you got some time. Typical resume review could take anywhere from 10 minutes to half an hour. So if you got the time, I'll do it right now. If you don't have time right now, that's okay. But I'm happy to take the time if you want the help. So let me know in chat. Now, when you do send it over, the only thing I do ask, because this is broadcasting live on YouTube, is make sure you change like your real name and like don't put your real phone number or email address on your resume. So if you can like mask those out or just change them to whatever. You're also welcome to change like company names and things like that if you don't want to sort of dox yourself. That would be highly discouraged by me. Please don't dox yourself. So if you follow the link, there was a link for the resume review there. I'll send it again. So if you follow this link, it'll take you to a page where you basically upload a PDF file, and then you check off that, yes, I have redacted my personal information, or I understand that, this is going to be live and recorded and broadcast out to the general interwebs. So yeah, just follow that link and you can submit it from there. It'll email it to me, and then I'll pull it up in a browser and do the review with you if you want. Let me go get that browser window up and running. We'll get ready for that. I gotta remember how long this window goes here. It'll actually stretch as long as I need it. Well, up to where? How far does it go? Time there. Okay. I just want to know how big the window needs to be to get some stuff done. Cool. So yeah, if you want to email that over, I'll take care of it right now. And I'll see it as soon as it comes in, so you don't have to tell me in chat when you've sent it. It'll show up in my inbox right away. Yeah, totally. Yep. I'm happy to help you out there. So yeah, so if you go over to Tech Interview Guide, there'll be a section here for resume reviews. So just click on that, and then, you know, it gives you a little bit of like starter info. There's a video that you can watch as well, but just give me your email address and then like what kind of review you want, although you've kind of shared that in chat already. And then just pick your file and then just say like, yeah, I've anonymized my info and then understand like, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, as soon as you hit send, it'll email me a copy of your email or your resume via email. And then I'll grab it from there. Cool. Let me double check. There it is. All right, let's take a look. Okay, so it looks like you've got your real phone number and real email address on here. Is that okay with you? Because this is going to get like this is live on YouTube, so other people could potentially see this. So if you're okay with that, just let me know in chat, and then I'll show it as is. But if you want to like hide those details, then I'm okay waiting for a second copy, because I don't really have a way to like mask that on the site or on the resume right now. So it's up to you. I can show it as is, or wait, no, I can draw. I can draw. I'm gonna hide your phone number and email. So give me a sec. I'm a big fan of internet safety. No, I don't want to highlight. I want to erase. Nope. Okay, it's gonna take me a minute to color some things out here. Okay, there we go. I would just rather, like, I'm a big fan of keeping people safe online, you know? Cool. So here's a resume, and then we'll take a quick peek at it here. It's only showing a little bit of the page. Let me see if I can, and there's the whole page. Okay, cool. So here is the resume. Now I will ask, where are you going to be applying for jobs? Are you applying for jobs in the US? Or are you applying for jobs in India or somewhere else in the world? Are you looking for remote work? Things like that. Because it will matter a little bit on the structure of what you're building here as a resume. Because there's some formatting things that I would definitely change one way or the other. But the kind of information that you share on the resume will also depend a little bit on where you're applying for work. So if you're applying for work in America, then you'll want to put some different things on your resume. If you're applying for work remotely from where you are in India, or if you're applying for work in India, then again, there might be some other formatting changes and so on as well that you might need. So, okay, so you're looking for remote work. Okay, so where I would start here, if you're looking for remote work in North America, for example, we typically wouldn't want a picture. We would typically just want your name, where you went to school, and like tell us a little bit about you and your background and what skills you have and what projects you have since you're a student. So that would typically be what we would look for here. I'll give you a bit of background on me, by the way. I've been in the tech industry for 30 years. I've been a director of engineering. I've held engineering leadership positions. I have led and built entire interview teams at several companies. And I've looked at probably somewhere between 15 and 20,000 resumes over the course of my career, between interviewing people and helping people with resume reviews like this. So that said, I will say get lots of opinions on your resume, because the more opinions you hear from other people, the more you'll be able to form your own opinion on what you want your resume to be. So cool. So the first thing that I will say is, yeah, typically for like a North American role, we wouldn't want your picture on the resume because we wouldn't want to bias against you based on how you look. I know that sounds a little funny, but discrimination is a really big thing that companies take very seriously here in North America. And so just having your name and the fact that you're a student, where you're going to school, where you currently live, like that's really all we need to see. We don't need your picture on the page. So if you're applying for a role in North America, take the picture off. You can leave all the other details like your phone number and your email are fine. I would make sure that the email is actually a link. This is just a string. It doesn't seem to be clickable for me the way that I'm looking at this PDF file in my browser. And so I would make sure that that's a clickable link so they can click on that. If you have a LinkedIn profile, I would put that on here as well so that they can kind of go back and forth between your resume and your LinkedIn profile. That will make the job much easier for recruiters. From there, if I kind of zoom out on the page quite a lot, like literally zoom out on the page, the font is quite large. And some people do that because they feel they don't really have very much content to put on the page. And so they're a little bit worried about how much content to put on the page and so on. So I'm just trying to find a good, there we go. Good spot for the resume. Some people are worried that they just don't have enough content to put on the resume. Like you don't have many projects or you don't have any work experience, things like that. And so some people just make the font really, really big. But in your case, you're actually using a lot of different font sizes. And subconsciously, that's actually hard to read after a while. Even though your resume is only 1 page long, you're changing the font like a lot. Like you've got a really big font up here, slightly smaller here, you're getting smaller here. This is a little bit bigger than this, so now you're going back up, but it's not as big as this one. So now you're on your 4th font size. This font looks to be about the same size as your email and your location details and so on. But then you go even smaller for where you went to school. This may be the same size as this, but you've got it in bold, but now you're going to another smaller font size. So, and then down here at the bottom, you're like getting really, really tiny. So it almost feels like an eye exam where the font is really big at the top and really itty bitty at the bottom. So generally what I tell people is highlight all the text, make everything 10-point font. And then you can set these headings to be like 12 or 14-point font. Make your name like 18-point font. And that's it. You get 3 font sizes on the page. Okay? 1 for your name, 1 for your headings, and everything else on the page is 1 font size. Because otherwise it gets too hard to read because you're changing your font so much. Now, it looks like you're using the same font on the page, which is fine. And it's an easy to read font. So that's fine. Okay, so from there, the next thing that I would do, it's a little bit inconsistent how much space there is between the heading and where you start this gray bar. Like the word projects right here, it's really, really tight between the S and where you start that gray bar. But the S and skills, there's a little more room here. And there's a little more room on education. And there's a lot more room here on profile. So you really need to be consistent on this because typically the number one skill that you want to convey as a software developer is that you have an attention to detail. And sometimes little things like that subconsciously, they're not going to maybe notice that. I notice it because I also took graphic design in school. And so I notice those kinds of things, and it's just enough to like irritate me a little bit, to where if I saw that, I'd be like, this person's like really inconsistent with how they do their work. So making sure that, if you want to keep that gray bar on there, that's fine, but make sure that they're formatted and that formatting all looks the same across everything. So one font size, make sure that the space between the heading and that gray bar is the same on all of your headings. Also the heading down here at the bottom for your hobbies. And, you've got these other things over here like personal languages and things like that. Languages are skills. And we can talk about hobbies, but if this is going to be another heading, then it needs to be consistent with your other headings. Make it the same font size, make it all caps, be consistent about that. Okay, from there, profile here, Bachelor of Tech, student specializing. So you've already called yourself a student here. You don't need to do it again. You can just say, I specialize in data science and analytics. Now, even though you're a student, you're looking to graduate in 2028, so you got a couple more years in school, which is fine. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to tell them what you don't know. And when you say, I have a basic knowledge of C, Java, Python, and so on, you're kind of highlighting the skills you don't have by saying you have a basic knowledge of something. So what I would do here is I would just take the word basic off of here and just say knowledge of C, Java, Python, SQL, DBMS. Part of their interview process is going to be to determine how much of that skill you have, but you don't have to tell them your skill level. So take the word basic off of here. Seeking an internship opportunity, apply my technical skills, learn industry practices, contribute to real projects. That's fine. And then you're getting into your education, which is fine. Again, most remote positions won't need secondary school. They want to know like where you're going to college or university, but they don't care as much about like where you went to high school. That's what we call it in North America. We call it high school. So you don't really need to put these grades on here as well. Also, 80% is like, okay, that's a pretty good grade, I guess. But it lets us know that you weren't like a top student. So if you're applying for a remote job in North America, I would take both of these schools off and I would just have your current education where you're going to university. Now, you set up here you're a student. You set it here again. And we know that you're pursuing this already because your expected graduation is 2028. So you can take the word pursuing off of here because you've already said you're seeking an internship, which lets us know you are a student. And so again, you don't have to tell us here that you're pursuing your Bachelor of Tech because you've told us up here, you've told us here, you've told us here, and now you're telling us here again. So tell us one time. You don't have to tell us 4 times. It's very redundant. Computer science engineering, specializing data science, analytics, strong foundation in programming, data analysis, problem solving. The rest of that is fine. So I would start the sentence with computer science engineering with specialization in data science. I would take off pursuing BTech in. Just take this off completely right here. You can leave this up here if you want to, although you've kind of already told us here. We know you're a student because you're applying for an internship. So you could just say like, this is where you're going to school and you're studying data science and analytics. You could take it off of here as well. Again, it's not something you have to tell us over and over on the page. Okay, so you started in 2024 to 2025, 26, 27, 28. So 4-year degree. And you have just finished your 2nd year of classes and you have 2 projects on here. So one thing I'm noticing is you're kind of vertically spacing things out a lot on the page. I would probably maybe compress that extra empty space a little bit and see if you can find a 3rd project to put on here. Also, having this big block of empty space over here looks a little bit off because you didn't have empty space here under your education header. So again, it's a consistency thing. Under education, you're listing the name of the school and then like what you're learning. For the project, you could put the name of the project and then the information over here about what that project was doing. And then you can give us more information about the project, how you built it, the technologies that you used, and so on, if you want to do that. And then we can talk about skills and so on. But like, notice how skills, like you don't put anything under the skills heading. Same with hobbies. Like these are all empty, but this one's not. And so it doesn't look the same. And generally on a resume, you want everything to kind of look the same on the page. So I would improve that. Design the database using SQL. Okay. Performed operations like insert, update, delete. Okay. Understood relational database concepts. So when you built this course registration system, knowing what goes into a user registration system, because I just built one earlier this year for a whole conference, for a technical conference. When you build something like this, you're not building just a database. You're building the software application around it, and all of the logic of what if somebody already has an account? How do they log back in and so on? So was this a group project and you were the one responsible for the database? Or were you literally just designing a database schema for something that could have been a course registration system, and you were just designing out the tables and manually doing inserts and updates? So if you can let me know in chat a little bit about that, because I think the way that you've written it here, someone else reading it is going to wonder, like, how did you build an entire registration system with just SQL? So you'll want to make sure that you've got enough information in here that lets them know, like, were you the database person on a team of 5 people and other people wrote the application software and you worked on the database side? So if you can give me a little more context about that one, that would be helpful. For the interactive transportation network, you built a Java Swing GUI modeling cities and roads as graph nodes and edges. Okay. Implemented Dijkstra's, BFS, Prim's algorithms for routing. Okay. Connected an interactive front end with back-end logic for real-time manipulation. Okay. All of those are fine. Your friends did the other part. Okay. So then I would mention that this was a group project and that this was your responsibility to the group, that you built out the database while other people, other teammates built the front end and the back end. Your responsibility was the database. Also, for these kinds of projects, if you have them on GitHub, if you can link to GitHub so that we can go see what got built, that would be really helpful. Or if there's a live demo site somewhere that we can actually go look at what was built, if you have it hosted somewhere, that also shows that you've kind of gone that extra mile and that you understand how to go, like, put an application online somewhere, like that you've actually got it hosted somewhere. So yeah, tell us that it was a group project. The second project, was this a solo project or was this also a group project? It kind of sounds like a solo project where you were doing full stack, where you did everything in this project. So let me know that in chat as well. When we're looking at your skills, again, you're saying like basic knowledge. So again, you're kind of highlighting what you don't know. And you're kind of putting emphasis on the fact that you're a beginner. We already know you're a beginner. You just finished your second year of school. You're applying for an internship. We know that there are things that you're not going to know. And so again, you don't have to say basic knowledge of. You can just tell us the programming languages that you know and that you've studied. Okay, it was a solo project. Cool. So tell us that. Like, solo project, here's everything that I built. These bullet points that you have in here is fine. But I would add a bullet point before this saying this was a solo project. And again, if you've got it on GitHub, give us a GitHub link for the project. It just lets us go. Not everyone's going to go look at your GitHub, but if they go look at your GitHub, they'll be able to see the code quality, the kinds of tools that you used, how many commits did you make? Like, did you just make it all as like one big single commit? Because that tells us how you're going to work as an engineer on our team. Are you going to go just work on your laptop and hope everything, your laptop doesn't get corrupted and you lose all your work? Or are you regularly committing your work as you do things? Do you commit once a day? Do you commit 10 times a day? Or was everything just one big giant commit all in one shot? So again, if you can give us a little more context on that as part of writing out the notes about this project, it gives us a better sense of what you're capable of doing, that if we bring you on as an intern, we already kind of know how you're going to work and interact. Okay, if you don't have it right now, I would try to get it on GitHub. If you have a GitHub account, try to put these projects on GitHub, because again, it shows like engineering managers, especially, what you're capable of. Now, recruiters are not going to go look at your GitHub. They're just not gonna. They don't have time. And so when you write a resume, you have to kind of help the recruiter, like show them very clearly the information that they're looking for. But an engineering manager is more likely to go look at your project and look at your GitHub and look at how you've written up things about the project work that you did, why it mattered, and things like that. So the more information you can put on here for the engineering manager, the better. If it's like really overly technical as far as an explanation, the recruiter is just going to ignore it and they'll look at it and go, the person sounds smart. But the recruiters are typically not developers and they're not going to understand a lot of the words, but they are going to be looking for certain keywords around the technologies that you've used, the programming languages that you know, and so on. So you mentioned Java Swing GUI, modeling cities, and so on. But then you mentioned an interactive front end and a back end. So was this like a full stack web application or was it a desktop application? Because you make it sound like a Swing GUI, like you built this as a desktop application. But then you're talking about interactive front end and back end logic, where those words would typically be more associated, at least as far as the recruiters are concerned, would be more associated with a web application. So again, how you word things can also really matter here. When it comes to skills, the important thing here, and I've already mentioned like taking off the words like basic knowledge of. With your skills, companies want to know, do you have the programming languages that we're looking for? Do you have frameworks that we're looking for, and so on? You mention a lot of technologies on the page that you don't mention in your skills. Like you mentioned data science and analytics, obviously, because that's what you're studying. Strong foundations in programming, data analysis, problem solving. You built a whole project around SQL. You mentioned in your summary at the top that you have a knowledge of C, Java, Python, SQL, and database management systems. But when we look at your skills, you say, I have an interest in databases. Well, is it an interest or is it what you're studying? Because if it's just an interest, that kind of tells us that you're not that serious about it. But if this is what you want to do as a career, you want to get into data analysis, then it can't just be an interest. This is something that you know. Again, it's our job as part of the interview to figure out how much you know. So you don't have to tell us how much or how little you actually know. You just have to say, these are the things that I'm familiar with. I know about SQL. I know about C. I know about Java. I know about Python. But when you use words like I have an interest in databases, that doesn't sound as serious as this is my career plan. Like I'm going to be getting into data analysis and data science. So yeah, I use databases. Now you mentioned Java Swing in your second project, but you don't mention it anywhere in your skills block. So if I'm doing a keyword search, you'll hit on it, but then I don't see kind of the same information between your projects and what you talk about with what you're learning in your class with what you claim to know in your skills. So you definitely want to make sure that any technologies that you mention anywhere on the resume also show up in that skills block at the bottom. Familiarity with Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, you can take that off. That's not going to be important for data science or data analysis. Maybe Excel to a tiny, tiny little bit, but very likely not. Python is going to be a much stronger language for data science. And so I would actually list Python as a primary programming language that you know. Most of your interviews will be in Python, and a lot of what you would do day to day would be in Python. So here's how I read your resume. You're a C developer who knows Java and Python and SQL and databases. Down here, you kind of have an interest in databases. You built a whole project about databases, but your main project here was Java, but you're listing C as your primary language. And here you're listing C as a primary language and then Java and then Python. But again, for data science and analytics, you're more likely going to be writing Python code. And so when you're applying for these internship roles, if they are primarily looking for Python as a programming language, then your whole resume needs to look like you are a Python developer who happens to know Java and C, but that you are a Python developer. And it's okay that this second project was a Java project, but this is where I would have another project above it that you've done in Python. Now, if you find an internship that's looking for Java, then you put the Java project first, and then maybe your SQL project, and then a Python project after that. Because you need to look like a Java developer who happens to know these other things. So again, whatever's in their job post, your resume needs to make you look like I am that kind of developer. You want a Python developer? Great. I'm a Python developer who knows Java. You want a Java developer? Great. I'm a Java developer who knows Python. So you can rearrange these things. And then again, it's up to us during the interview to figure out which language you know the best, and how quickly you can go learn things, and what kinds of projects that you've built. So the more projects you can put on the resume, the better, because you don't have professional experience as a developer yet. And so you need to overload your resume with more projects. Now, the fact that you've only done 2 years of school, you may not have done very many projects yet, but you can put any kind of project on here, like any kind of project that may seem relevant to the job. You can definitely add it on here. Personal things around communication skills and so on, that's fine. Quick learner, yeah, you can have that on there because you're an intern and so on. I think that'll be fine. Now, quick learner and time management, you're more likely to get what we call behavioral questions about, tell me how you learned something quickly. What was the last thing that you had to learn in a hurry? How quickly did you learn it? What was the outcome, and so on. You'll need to be able to answer those kinds of questions. Languages known, absolutely. Have English and Hindi on there. That's fine. When it comes to hobbies, though, these hobbies may not be relevant to most of the companies where you're going to be applying for work. So this will bring me back to how I coach people to build a resume. And that is, you need to be as presentable as possible as a relevant candidate for what their company does. Now, it's all fine and good that you exercise and you're into sports. That's fine. But if you're not applying for a job at an exercise company or a sports company, does that matter as much to them? Probably not. It lets them know that you're a well-balanced human being and you get out of the house and you go play some sports, and you probably work as part of a team, especially with football. Badminton can be a solo or duo, kind of thing. So it's good that you're getting exercise and that you're, and things like that. There's nothing wrong with that. But does it belong on a resume? I've gone back and forth on this with other people who have also helped with resumes, and some of them are like, yeah, you should totally put it on a resume. It shows people that you're a human being and that you care about taking care of your body. On the other side, though, I would say those kinds of details would really only matter if you're applying for a company that has something to do with sports. Like if you apply to like your local football, team. Let's say there's a football team in your town, and they have an opening for an internship doing some kind of software development. Well, you're bringing those software development skills, but you're also going to be a good culture fit because you play football. It's one of your hobbies. That is a highly relevant skill for them. But if you're applying for a job with, say, a music company, they're not going to care. Well, listening to music, okay. But going to the gym, reading about new technologies, playing badminton, football, swimming, it's not going to matter to a music company. So those kinds of things you can probably leave off the resume unless it's highly relevant to the company where you're applying for work. So yeah. So depending on, again, where you're applying for jobs, it's up to you whether you need to have these other schools on here. Again, if you're applying to North America, we only care about your college or university. We don't care about your high school. I would definitely put more project work on here. And then I would simplify the skills block here where you're just listing out the programming languages you know, frameworks that you've used, other tools, other databases. Like you say you have an interest in databases and SQL. You designed a whole backend SQL for a project, but you don't mention which database you used. Was it Postgres? Was it MySQL? Was it something else? Was it Microsoft SQL Server? Was it Oracle? Was it MongoDB? We don't know. Well, it wouldn't have been MongoDB because you said it's done in SQL. But which one? Tell us which one. You can list all of those things in your skills as far as like the technologies that you've used. So I'm guessing that you've used way more technologies than you've actually listed here. If you've used Git, put Git on there. If you've used GitHub, put GitHub on here. If you've done any kind of like time tracking, project management kind of thing, like a Jira kind of thing at school, some schools do, put that on here. If not, that's okay. You can leave it off, but you don't want to lie and like start loading up a bunch of skills that you don't have. But I bet you've used a lot more technologies than what you've actually listed here on the page. So I would list all of those out in your skills. And the way I would do it is under the skills block, instead of calling it like professional, personal, languages, and so on, I would have one line for communication. And I would say, strong communication skills in English and Hindi, and teamwork and collaboration. That would all be under communication. And then I would have one for programming. And you would list Python, Java, C, SQL, any other things that you've done, any script languages like Bash script or anything like that, or Z shell script. If you've done any kind of terminal scripting at all, put that in there. And then under that, I would have tools. And that would be where you list like Git, GitHub, which database you used, Swing, things like that. And then whether or not you want to add another bullet point for the kinds of algorithms that you've implemented, like Dijkstra's and so on, I would probably leave that out. But some people like to add those kinds of things in. If you're really proud of your achievement, you could leave it in there if you need to use up the room. But I think once you set all of this stuff to 10-point font, you're going to find you're probably only using about half the page. And so the more project work you can put in here, the better. And then if you need to, then you can maybe increase the font size from 10-point font to maybe 11-point font. I wouldn't go bigger than 11 for the main body text on the page. I would keep it at 11-point font, keep those headings at like 12 or 14, and then make your name 18-point at the top. Cool. Any other questions? What else can I help you with on that? And this will all be recorded too, so you can come back and watch this anytime on the YouTube channel if you want. But yeah, happy to help people out with this kind of stuff on the stream for sure. This is what I do on Sundays. On Thursdays, I mainly do live coding. And it's everywhere from like raw C# or Python coding to full AI vibe coding on a couple of things. But most of the time, I'm going to be working in Streamer.bot and building out these interactive controls and so on. No other questions? Okay, cool. Well, happy that I could help you out. Thanks for trusting me with your resume, and good luck with the internships. Here in America, the internships are going to start hiring usually in August. So, yeah, good luck. Hope it goes well. And by all means, come back, hang out on the stream again. Happy to help you out if you have other questions. Awesome. Well, it is almost 2 a.m. here. I got to get up in a couple hours for work, so I got to go. But appreciate everybody coming by, and for those that watched earlier, appreciate all the patience as I worked through some issues with chat where I was spamming myself with a endless recursion loop. But yeah, good to have everybody on the stream. Thanks again for the resume review. Happy to do these anytime for folks. So come on by the stream anytime, and happy to help out with resume reviews. So yeah, I'm basically going to end here, but thanks for hanging out tonight, and we'll catch everybody. I'll be back Thursday, usually about, geez, trying to think of what time it is and what time I would normally start. I would normally stream about 6 hours earlier than I'm on right now. So if you're in India, I would typically be streaming around like 7 a.m. your time. But yeah, come back anytime, and happy to hang out and happy to help out again if you've got other questions. Also, if you're looking for mock interview practice, I do mock interviews on a platform called Meet Pro. Hopefully this will work. There we go. So if you want to book a private session with me, you can book it through that. And I've got discounted rates for students and so on that platform. If you want to check that out as well, happy to help with like algorithm practice or system design practice, or we can do like a more thorough resume review where I'll actually help rebuild your resume. So yeah, we can do all that kind of stuff on that platform. Cool. I got to get to bed. We'll see everybody soon. Cheers.